Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be we're diving into this short story. It's called La Muerte de los Helechos.
Okay.
And that means the death of the Ferns in Spanish.
Okay.
And the source that we're going to be using for this whole deep dive is this story.
Gotcha.
And I guess the mission is to sort of unpack the meaning within the story and kind of look at how, I guess, really how a garden reflects a woman's life.
All right.
In this story.
Yeah. The story is really interesting because it takes something as familiar as a garden and really uses it to explore the inner world of the main character.
Right.
Her name's Isabel. And her journey throughout the story is kind of reflected in the garden.
Okay.
It's like we're going to be looking at the garden like it's a metaphor for her life.
Yeah. So the story starts with Isabel finding solace and comfort in her garden at the end of the day as the evening is coming. And the way she sees the garden is not just like a collection of random plants.
Yeah.
It's like a deeply personal space.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head there because each plant actually holds a very specific meaning for her, connected to the people who have been important in her life.
Okay.
It's almost as if the garden is like a living record of all her relationships.
Okay, so like, for example, we have these daisies.
Yeah.
And they represent her sister.
Right.
And Isabel sees her sister as bella e inocente. Beautiful and innocent.
Yeah, it's a very classic image, right? Daisies representing innocence, purity, and all that. And beauty.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting is how the daisies in the garden are described.
Yeah.
Because it actually mirrors her sister's journey through life. They kind of naturally spread throughout the garden, expanding their reach, just like her sister's life has expanded beyond their home, beyond the borders of their country. It's like this natural growth, a breaking free, you know.
Yeah, and I like that image of the daisies spreading, but you know, there is this like subtle sadness in the story of Isabel missing her sister.
Yeah.
But there's also this understanding of like, you know, why she needed to leave and grow beyond just their little world.
Totally. And the story even hints at how their parents wanted to kind of protect the younger sister, maybe even keep her a little bit contained.
Okay.
And the story actually uses this powerful image of barbed wire to describe that feeling of being held back.
Oh, wow.
But her sister's spirit was just too wild, too free for that. And Isabel, you know, she totally got that. She respected that. And the way they parted ways suggests that it was kind of a final goodbye.
Yeah.
Like a mutual understanding that their paths were going in different directions. They weren't going to be seeing each other all the time.
Okay, so moving on, then we have the roses.
Ah, the roses, yeah.
These are described as imponentes, so imposing, beautiful, and with this strong fragrance that's almost too much. But underneath all that, there's also this like hint of fragility. Okay. Almost a little bit of arrogance in those roses.
That description of the roses when they first appear is super important because it really sets the stage for what they represent.
Okay.
They arrive because of this young man who her parents thought would be perfect for Isabel to marry. He brought these roses as like a romantic gesture, but right away you can feel all these societal expectations weighing down on Isabel, especially because she's the eldest daughter. Okay. Which means, you know, she's the first one that's supposed to get married and settle down. Right. And it really kind of sets up the conflict that unfolds.
And she wasn't really that into him, right? Like the story mentions, no le daba buena estima. Like she didn't get a good feeling from him.
Yeah, and he was kind of reserved, you know, but her parents, they saw him as this stable and reliable guy. So you can really see how Isabel felt trapped in a way. Like she couldn't really express her own feelings or act on her instincts because of her family's wishes. It makes you wonder how often that happened back then. Yeah. How many people had to marry people they didn't really like because of societal pressure.
So this whole situation, it ends pretty suddenly.
It does.
And in a big way. The day before the wedding, this guy just sends a note that says, Lo siento. I'm sorry.
Wow. Just like that, huh?
Yeah, just, I'm sorry.
So blunt.
And it leaves Isabel and her family to deal with the mess.
And what's really interesting is how the story focuses more on the parents' reaction than on Isabel's feelings.
Yeah, and it's like they felt so much shame. Right. And they even kind of blamed Isabel for it.
Yeah, they did.
And brought up all these old superstitions, almost like she jinxed the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a really harsh reaction, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really hard.
It shows you a lot about the social norms back then. Yeah. The judgment, the gossip, the way people talk about her behind her back.
Right.
They would whisper about her being tan bonita y se va a quedar chamona.
Oh, wow.
So beautiful, yet destined to become an old maid.
Right.
Some people even said worse things, like she was cursed or something.
Yeah.
So she ends up withdrawing from everyone, isolating herself in her house in her garden.
Yeah.
It's like the walls are closing in on her.
And the house itself actually starts to feel more isolated, too,
Okay.
over time.
Yeah.
You know, it's described as almost overgrown
Oh,
with
wow.
climbing plants. It's like they're keeping the outside world away. And her mother had earlier tried to bring romance into Isabel's life
Yeah.
by filling the house with lavenders,
Oh, wow.
but that didn't work out at all.
No, it didn't. It shows how much her mother wanted her to have
Right.
a traditional life, you know?
Yeah.
Find a husband, have kids, all that. It's interesting to see how persistent these desires were back then.
And then as family members either move away or pass away, Isabel is more and more alone in this big house.
Right.
And that's when the Ferns come in.
Ah, the Ferns.
Her mother puts
Ew.
ferns all over the house
Okay.
because she thinks they'll bring good luck and a husband for Isabel.
It's like a last-ditch effort, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe a little desperate, maybe a little bit of hope, too.
But there's this really important detail about the ferns. They have to stay inside, away from direct sunlight.
Oh, really? Why is that?
The story says that if they get too much sun, they'll dry out and die.
Okay.
And, you know, when you think about Isabel's situation,
Yeah.
it seems like there's a metaphor there.
I see what you mean,
Yeah.
yeah. That detail about the ferns needing to stay out of the sunlight,
Yeah.
it's pretty significant.
Right.
Isabel even compares her own life to the ferns, saying that it might look nice on the surface, even have a certain delicate beauty, but it lacks flores y mucho menos frutos. Flowers, and definitely no fruits.
Okay.
And you know, that's a big deal because back then,
Right.
women were expected to get married, have children. That was seen as fulfilling your role in society.
Yeah.
So both Isabel and the ferns, they're kind of existing in this state of twilight, you know, reaching for any bit of light they can find.
Right.
And for Isabel, that light becomes her time in the garden.
It's like, you know, they have all this potential,
Yeah.
but they're stuck in this environment where they can't fully bloom.
Exactly.
And her garden is this space where she can escape
Right.
and just be herself.
It's a place where she's free from all those expectations.
Yeah.
It's her sanctuary.
And then there's this huge turning point in the
Okay.
story where Isabel decides to move all the ferns outside into the garden.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
So she's taking them out of that protected environment.
Yeah. And the story says it takes her all day long to do it.
Okay.
So it's not like a small task.
Right, so it's deliberate.
Yeah.
She's making a conscious choice.
And she puts them
Yeah.
among all the other plants,
Okay.
you know, the daisies and the roses, which represent all these different parts of her life.
It's almost like she's bringing all these different aspects of herself together,
Yeah.
exposing them to the world.
And of course, the summer sun, it beats down on the ferns and, you know, what happens next.
So what happens? What does she find when she goes back to the garden?
Well, a week later, she finds the ferns dead,
Right.
just like we thought would happen.
But how does she react to that?
It's interesting because she doesn't seem completely sad. The story says that she feels this extraña mezcla de nostalgia y alegría,
Wow.
like a strange mix of longing and happiness.
Okay.
She sees their death as a kind of liberation.
That's fascinating.
What do you think about that?
It's so powerful because it suggests that Isabel understands that sometimes for something to truly be free,
Yeah,
it has to let go of its old form,
right.
even if that form was familiar and safe, you know?
Yeah.
So the nostalgia that she feels is probably for the years the ferns were there. They were a constant in her life. They represented her mother's hopes.
Yeah.
But the joy that she feels
Yeah.
comes from knowing that they're no longer confined. They're not stuck in that darkness anymore.
Yeah, it's like letting go of something you think is safe can actually be the way to become truly free.
Right. And the transformation doesn't stop there.
What do you mean?
Isabel goes back inside, puts on her best dress, lets her gray hair down,
Okay.
and she sits on a bench in the garden facing the sun.
So it's like she's doing the opposite
Exactly.
of what the ferns had to do.
Yeah, Isabel, who's lived in the shadows for so long, just like the ferns that were kept inside, she's now choosing to face the sun.
Right.
She's embracing this freedom that the death of the ferns represents.
So in La Muerte de los Helechos, it seems like the
Yeah.
garden and the plants, and especially the ferns, are really strong metaphors
Yeah.
for Isabel's life
Right.
and the expectations she faced and her choice to finally be free.
Exactly. And it makes you think, what are the ferns in our own lives?
It's a good question.
You know, those situations, those relationships
right.
that we keep hidden away maybe because we're afraid of what would happen
Yeah.
if they were exposed to the light.
Yeah, like what if we brought those things into the open, even if it meant that things would change a lot?
Exactly, and
Just
ultimately, what does freedom really mean for each of us?
Yeah.
What would it look like to step out of the shadows and into our own sunlight?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Something to think about for sure.
That's all the time we have for today.
Okay.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Think about your ferns, everybody.
Think about those ferns.
We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.
Sounds good. All right. See ya.